what's up again, guys? Brian here at 3TR, here to bring you a significantly shorter episode of people's questions, where I answer all the questions that have sent to me over the past week. This one's definitely going to be considerably shorter, as we only have about, I want to say 9 questions, and there are regulars, so there's no newbies. So, starting off with the first question, coming from Demetrius Pfifer, and he wanted to know, if I had to choose between being a magic user or being a force wielder, which one I'd choose and why? Easy, force user. The thing about magic is, I think magic has a lot more limitations. I mean, you didn't specify exactly what type of magic we're using, so I have to assume that, if we stick to traditional means, like something like a Doctor Strange or Harry Potter or even like Lord of the Rings, you need like a staff, or you need a wand, or you have to use hand gestures, or you have to say specific spells, and you have to say them right, otherwise you get them wrong. With force users, it's much more flexible because it's really only limited to your imagination, and there's so many variations of it. There's so many things that you can do outside of, standard force pushes, or force pulls, or, force lightning, or force heal. I mean, it's really only limited to your own imagination. The force really has no limitations in terms of what it can do or what it can influence. So, just in that statement alone, pretty much means that being a force user will be much more significant than being a magic user. Next question comes from Santi Scarpino. You want to know, what is my favorite and least favorite movie remakes? Well, I guess my favorite one that comes to mind is probably Scarface with Al Pacino, because a lot of people don't know that that's a remake. And least favorite, to be honest, I'm not going to pick just one specific remake, but I'm going to pick something that's been coming out recently that I just feel very, very uncomfortable with. And it's something that Disney is doing. And it's these remakes creating these classic animated Disney movies into live action. I have seen pictures of the new Aladdin film, and this is very uncomfortable. I mean, I sat through Beauty and the Beast, and I never had this reaction to any other movie I can recall, but I was sitting there watching this film, and it just felt wrong. And I saw the trailer to The Lion King, and that looked wrong. It's like, these don't need to be live action. And just looking at pictures of Aladdin is my 3rd favorite Disney movie of all time, and I don't want to see this. It just feels wrong. It feels cheap. I don't like these remakes. I want nothing to do with them. So, in layman's term, I guess live action remakes of old school Disney animated films are probably my least favorite remakes of all time. Next question comes from Daniel Villegas. He wants to know, if I had to choose, which video game would I reboot? I guess Halo, and I would make it a multi-plat system so I could play it on PlayStation, but that's about it, really. Next question comes from Brady Burick. You want to know, why does Sephiroth care about Cloud more than anyone else? Okay, this question makes no sense. Sephiroth doesn't care about Cloud. I just think out of anyone, he's the one who he has the most genetic connection to, in a sense, because both him and Cloud share the same sorts of Genova cells, and that's something that only he and Cloud have. But the term care is a bit exaggerated. Sephiroth does not really care too much. I think he just gets off in a non-sexual way to having an opponent that can, I guess, entertain him. And I guess that's something that he is very, very difficult for someone like him to find. So, yeah. Next question comes from Will Williams. He wants to know, do I think that Devil May Cry would make a good movie? No, I don't. No, I don't. Video game-based movies just, they just don't really work all that well. And they just need to stop. So, they've been trying for decades to get this right, and they just can't seem to do it. So I would not want to see them attempt something like Devil May Cry. Now, if we're talking about an animated series like we might be getting on Netflix, that's something else. That's something I absolutely would support because you have the time. But in terms of a live-action movie, no. Next question comes from Phantom Sidious. He wants to know, what are some of my favorite Star Wars comics and novels? Just to throw out a few. Shadows of the Empire, Crimson Empire, Heir to the Empire, Dark Empire. Let's see what else. And I'm really into Rule of Two, the Darth Bane and Darth Xana, like two-parter. I really like Revenge of the Sith, the novelization. Really like that one. I mean, that was like one of the first like Star Wars novels I recall reading after seeing the film, and that allowed me to enjoy the film even more. And those just a few that I can name off the back of my head, just in terms of novels and comics. Next question comes from JBat. You want to know, do I think that we will see a lightsaber assemble in a Star Wars movie? Well, technically speaking, if you've seen the deleted scenes of Return of the Jedi, you actually do see Luke Skywalker assemble his green lightsaber, if that counts. And I know that in the animated series there is a scene where I think like a Jedi is assembling their lightsaber, and I know that they show you Star Killer assembling his lightsaber, and there's several in multiple medias you see Jedi's building their lightsaber. That's like an essential part to becoming a Jedi. You need to kind of know how to assemble your weapon. But yeah, I mean, if you count that deleted scene in Return of the Jedi, then yeah, we've actually seen a Jedi assemble his lightsaber. So yeah. Next question comes from the Paper Knight. You want to know, yo Brian, what thing am I most hyped for 2019? My most anticipated game of 2019 is without question Resident Evil 2. This thing looks like it has the potential to not only become my new favorite survival horror game, which would immediately allow it to dethrone games like Resident Evil 4 and Dead Space 2, but this honestly looks like a game that might be able to legitimately scare me. And in the history of video games, or in my 28 years of life, only 3 games have been able to do that. So for anyone who saw me play my Dead Space 2 playthrough, you know why. Next question, and the last question of the episode, comes from All-Star Gamer Punk. You want to know, since Devil May Cry 5's big bad, basically one-shot Devil Trigger Dante, do I think that the writers can find a way to beat him and make sense without an ass pull? Probably not. I'm sure they'll come up with some convoluted way that makes no sense as for how he beats the boss. I mean, I don't know, maybe they'll do some sort of teamwork friendship thing like they always do, or something. I don't know. When it comes to games like that, I don't generally like to speculate. I just like, let's just not think about it. Let's wait till the game comes out. Then when the game comes out, we play it and we find out exactly what they got in mind. I mean, the more I think about it, then, I don't want to disappoint myself. So with that said, that is all the questions that I got for this particular episode. I'd like to thank the 9 of you for sending in your questions. If you guys have any more questions that you would like me to answer in next week's episode, be sure to type them in the comments down below. But make sure you get them into me about Wednesday, preferably before noon, before I start recording the next episode. And also, if there was a question that you sent in for this particular episode, but you did hear it in this video, be sure to check the comment section of the last video, because chances are I answered them there. So with that said, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you next time.